So, my name is Christine Penny, and I am the Global Training and Author Support Manager at Cambridge University Press. I work a lot with authors. I've just had, for instance, a really wonderful opportunity to go speak at a few institutions in Madrid. I was there 2 weeks ago, and it was really exciting to be working with people who were working so hard and trying to learn the ins and outs of publishing. Yeah, this series that I've been doing has kind of tried to cover kind of larger and slightly more complex topics in the kind of publishing process that might be of benefit to authors. We are really keen to get new work all the time and especially high quality stuff. And we're, of course, keen to work with you if your idea is a really good one. So we're here to help you and kind of I say this a lot, draw back the curtain and give you a bit of insight. Today's session is more along the lines of and focused on what you should do more or less after you get published. But that being said, a lot of what I'm also about to talk about are kind of best practices in communication for yourself and in promoting your own career and, kind of promoting your own work for the sake of your own visibility. So, without further ado, I'm going to share my screen, which hopefully is visible to everybody. Yeah, great. Okay, and hopefully I should also be visible to you as well. Sometimes Zoom minimizes the speaker, which I think is an odd thing. But that is okay. So also just to verify that, sorry. Do. Yep, all right, that looks okay. Great. Okay. Thanks for your patience. Sorry to make you wait. Okay. So, promoting your work after publication, research impact and visibility. All right. So, basically, the big question is, why does it matter? How does promotion of your work affect your career? And kind of the other question that I hope is always at the back of your mind is how does it affect the world? Um, Look, I get it. I am an extroverted introvert, meaning I really love to talk with other people and I get energy off of other people, but I need a lot of time and space for myself to kind of chill out. I also personally have a very hard time doing the thing of self-promotion. I even personally have a really hard time posting on social media. I don't know. I don't know if there's some sort of I don't know, judgment that maybe people of my generation have been kind of encouraged to avoid. But ultimately, the point of this session is to say that if you want your work seen, you are the one who needs to promote it. And that might involve kind of overcoming some personal barriers, maybe ones like I have for you. Or maybe you're really, really good at reaching out to people and connecting with people, then you're well on your way. So that's kind of the gist of today's session. And hopefully not just for self-promotion, but also your ideas promotion for the sake of making the world a better place, which ultimately for us at Cambridge is kind of the point of what we're doing, isn't it? So today, we're going to talk about why promotion matters and why open access can really help you. I'm going to be really straight with you. Open access, in our opinion at Cambridge, is probably the best way to publish, and I'm going to kind of briefly touch on that again. Maybe you're already familiar with that, which is great. Then I'm going to talk a bit about metrics. Now, for those of us who are perhaps in the humanities, we're less interested in numbers. But hopefully, this gives you a little bit of insight on kind of metrics that are thrown around, that are talked about. Hopefully, you're already familiar with some of these in your field because some metrics are field specific, which I'm going to briefly talk about. I'm not going to go over every set of metrics, but yeah, these are things that you need to be aware of in terms of kind of measuring your own impact and your work's impact to the world. And then moving on. Ultimately, we do have metrics that measure this, but also you need to be the one that takes responsibility for your own impact. So we're going to talk about how you can manage your own impact and what you can do about it. And then hopefully we'll give you some ideas too about how to overcome those barriers. Maybe you have a language barrier, or maybe you just don't feel really great about kind of making things I don't know, a bit more pared down or maybe good visuals for what you've got. So we want to see what we can do to help you with that. Okay, so just to be really clear, and I said this previously, this is the access publishing workflow. I repeat this every single session just to make sure we're on the same page. So we're not talking today about how to prepare your manuscript. We're not talking about what it takes to kind of interact with peer reviewers and editors after you've submitted your manuscript. Basically, technically, where we're talking about what happens when you're at the point of article publication. Kind of the goal, kind of the point. Also, again, I'm going to repeat this. That being said, a lot of the principles that I'm going to bring across to you are ones that you should be using really regularly. Stay consistent. Put yourself out there really regularly, even if you haven't had a massive publication. Okay. Maybe you've got a big fancy rollout when you have a publication. I don't know. But it's about staying visible. Okay, why promotion matters. All right, so getting noticed moves your career forward. I think that's about that's about the gist of it. Yeah, it's look, again, it's really easy to kind of keep our work to ourselves. But again, in academia, it's about putting your idea out there and getting that interaction. And, maybe the challenge for you was even applying to start working on your PhD because you weren't so sure if your idea was great. But it's about bouncing ideas off of each other and having those conversations, which is really valuable. So this is about expanding that even more. So I know there's a lot of text on this page. I thought this might be a good resource for people for you to read on your own. But like, who is seeing your work? A lot of people. And how is this impacting you? It can impact you in a lot of ways. For instance, hiring committees are looking beyond whether the fact you've published. They're also looking at like, oh, is it having influence and impact? Grant funders, collaborators, if people don't see what you're doing, how on earth are they going to know to reach out to you and be like, hey, I actually have an idea. It would be really cool if we collabed on this paper together. Just saying. Metrics and impact indicators also, of course, accelerate your recognition. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. And then just opportunities. Like, if you're not putting yourself out there, like, okay, let's pretend you're trying to date. If you're not putting yourself out there, how is anybody going to know you're single and you're interested? It's the same thing. Like, if you're not putting yourself out there looking for opportunities, nobody's going to know that you're looking to speak, that you're looking to do contributions to, I don't know, magazines even, that you're interested in getting a book deal. Like nobody's going to know that unless you put yourself out there. So there's a lot of potential for you if you're working to, make yourself visible. Okay. Something, again, this is kind of ultimately the point, the social impact. Who knows? Maybe your work actually isn't going to change the world, but it could change one person's world. Single solitary person. For me, that would be enough, right? But how are they going to know unless you're promoting it? Close the knowledge gaps to make the world a better place, promote equity, empower other people to have that knowledge, and boost research trust even. There's so much lack of trust in the world today. I don't know. I don't know. Everyone's political situation is different, but I feel like there's just a lot of I don't know, kind of distrust in others, which is a challenging thing. So I don't know, maybe try to be that person that helps other people. Maybe build the idea that not just, humans can be okay and humans can be good people, but also that research and the work we're doing is also valuable and impactful, and, worth it to change people's lives. So, in brief, again, I make no bones about it. Open access, we feel at Cambridge, is the way forward and kind of ticks all the boxes as best it can for this societal impact. Okay, so essentially, open access makes your work visible and readable. So if you've already published, potentially not open access, it is possible to kind of look and see if maybe you've got a TA agreement. So you could publish, it's called retroactive, which is, I'm not going to get into that right now, but all is not lost if you've already gone that direction. Yeah, so open access is a publishing model that makes research available to readers at no cost. And it's up to you whether or not you want your work published in a journal or published open access to make your work visible. And we think that, publishing open access is going to really help and support you. So it makes your content freely available and it increases your discoverability 3 times more downloads, 3 times, not just 1 time, not just 2 times, 3 times the amount of downloads, people reading this stuff. It gets way higher usage because people can see it and they don't have to like, I don't know, go through all this nonsense to kind of get access to your work, and it's globally available. Not gonna lie, I'm gonna bring this up later, but collaborating internationally is also a huge and a valuable thing. Okay, so all of that aside, why? We've talked about why. Now let's talk about the nitty-gritty of the what and how impact metrics do help and support you in your own knowledge of where your paper is going, how it's doing in the world. But I also want to say there are limitations to these metrics as well. So these are a few things that kind of come up when we talk about metrics, and there are so many. In fact, there are more metrics than just these. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that. I actually think I talk about it in my second session. I think so, about how, choosing the right journal, looking at the journal impact. There are a lot of other metrics that I'm not listing here, but there is a difference between a journal's impact, like journal has impact factor, so it's called journal impact factor, and that's how often a journal is cited in 2 years. That exists in the world. But along with that, we've also got article impact. So you might be particularly looking at your article impact right now, but these are all things you need to be keenly aware of, okay? So we've got H index, the I-10 index, citation count. That all has to do with the journal, the same as the journal impact factor. For these 3 things are productivity. The I-10 index has to do with the number of papers that have been cited 10 times or more. Yeah, and citation counts, I mean, that's visible everywhere. Now, altmetrics is the article specific thing. That's what I'm going to show you in a second. And so it's article mentions on social media, blogs, news, etc. Like, basically kind of how is it getting ticked, where is this being seen, where is it being mentioned, basically across the internet within the realm of what altmetrics can actually do. Okay, and then something else to consider, really often it depends on your field. Some fields are really easy to kind of push the info about. I mean, I'm going to show you some information where I'm going to use as 2 examples, 2 professors, one of whom is in physics and one of whom is in math. They're really, really famous. One is even more famous than the other, who have, made successful careers by making themselves really visible on social media while still, maintaining their academic integrity and standards. But all of that being said, there are some fields that are a lot more easily visible than others. I don't know that a lot of people are necessarily talking about kind of the social outcome of, I don't know, loamy type soil in Guatemala. I mean, if that's your field, then awesome. But I don't think that that is, probably going to be as popular unless there's some massive worldwide impact. But that being said, just because you're a soil scientist doesn't mean that you're not being effective in your field. So, for instance, I think this example I kind of was digging out. I don't know if it was biochemistry or something. But they were saying that maybe 5 citations means it's doing fantastically well because your field is so small and limited. So again, keep these elements in mind, that these are important and they matter and they're helpful, but they're not everything. Okay. So this is an example. I believe this is for a particular article. Yes, it is. Yeah. So, okay. This is the article that was an article that was published in apparently 2022 in Environmental Data Science. It's talking about attention. Yeah. And this is just kind of elements that you need to pay attention to. From my understanding, it is also possible to set up bots to kind of track your article's kind of use and output. If I'm very blunt with you, I don't know how to do that. So if you want to do a little research of your own, it's possible, from what I understand, that those things exist. But I'm not going to guide you toward that today. Now, that being said, on many Cambridge Journal sites, if not all of them, we do kind of have journal impact scores going on. So that hopefully is helpful to you as well. Okay, now let's talk about the limitations of these metrics. So we talk about how we want attention, and that's great. It's really awesome. But there are probably also plenty of articles in the world that are getting a ton of attention, but they're really not that high quality. And it's also really possible that the articles getting attention are low quality because that's actually what people can understand, right? So interdisciplinary people, think about this, they often accumulate citations more slowly because they're kind of trying to connect in many different places, but they're also not getting mentioned as often because interdisciplinarity is a really unique thing. So I don't know. I don't have a good example in mind. I'm just going to kind of let that set with you. But yeah, so just because you're gaining something slowly doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. Okay. Now, something else to think about the fact is that metrics can be manipulated in unethical ways, which of course we're not asking for you to do at all. For instance, a lot of people cite themselves, and that is not okay. Not good, not cool. Don't do it. Yeah, don't be that guy. Now, again, I was kind of also the flip side of that coin is though there are field dependent citation rates. So I was talking about how in some fields, if there are 5 citations, maybe that's phenomenal. Like maybe that is just absolutely the best. It could absolutely be. Even if you're getting cited once, maybe that's also still a huge win. So it just really, really depends. And those are things to keep in mind. Early career researchers, which is maybe where you're at, are also at a bit of a disadvantage. Why? Because you're new. Like, come on, it just takes time to build up visibility. Like, if I'm just starting out, I don't know, as an actor and I'm trying to get into these Hollywood films, I'm probably not gonna, my first role is probably not gonna be in a Hollywood film. I'm probably gonna need to do some theater work and then maybe do a little bit on television if I get there, maybe do some commercials, then start building up that career. But nobody's gonna know who I am when I start in my theater work or when I'm just out of school, right? Like, of course not. So give yourself a buy, give yourself a chance. So look, senior academics always have higher numbers because they've been around longer. Like, I don't know, it's just it's what time is, right? That's how it goes. So don't completely lose heart if you're not getting immediate and instant, I don't know, virality. Don't, just because you haven't gone viral doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong. Okay, so now this comes to you. What can you do about this? Actually, a lot. And this is where, in essence, you need to take responsibility for your own visibility. So, here are some ideas for you. I've kind of listed them out. So, basically, create profiles, show up, be visible, be everywhere. Okay. Then share strategically. We're going to talk about some things that you can choose to do. It really depends. But yeah, you've got a lot of opportunity. And then something else to do, and this is kind of just goes hand in hand. It's basically goes along this idea of networking, which I know can be tough for some of us, but you need to continue to interact and be visible and make sure that people kind of are still seeing you. Don't fall off the face of the earth like I have on my Instagram. My family is like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I call you every week." Like, really? You're fine. Just because I'm not on socials doesn't mean that I'm not there. But that is what people think. If they can't see you, they're not going to remember you, right? Just put a jog in people's memory. So interact, continue to interact, and seek to collaborate. That's also going to be a huge, huge thing. Connect with other people and ultimately get support. So, first things first, here's a list of all of the places that I could come up with that you could create profiles. This does not even cover like all of the social platforms that you could do. We're talking LinkedIn, we're talking Instagram, we're talking YouTube, we're talking whatever. All of these profiles are research profiles. Excuse me. Some of these are going to be good for you, some of them not. I think some of them are particularly science-based. I'm looking particularly maybe at the Scopus one. Oh, sorry, no, Publon's Web of Science. That's a researcher ID. Yeah, so just make yourself kind of attached to all of those so it's all visible and put it all with the same name. Maybe you have kind of the handle, the platform. It's who you are, right? Essentially, I'm going to say this in a hot second, create a brand for yourself. That's what you're doing. And your orchid, remember, I talk about this a lot too. Your orchid ID, your orchid follows you everywhere. It follows all your stuff. So stick with it, okay? Be consistent. Now, be your own brand, which is what I just said. And essentially, it's a bit, I know personally I'm a little sad that we can't be more complex individuals, which you can. Like you can be a complex individual, but the thing that kind of keeps you in people's mind is to be really clear about who you are and what you do. So you can be, I don't know, I'll just use the woman we're about to look at. You can be a mathematician. She has really expanded her visibility in the world by kind of creating her own brand for being kind of unique styling. Yeah, and as a result, she's picked up tons of followers, tons of, I don't know, basically media deals. I believe she's now a professor at Cambridge, which is great. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But yeah, it's about putting yourself out there. And I'm not telling you that you need to go become an influencer. Like, I think there's six of one, half dozen of the other here. There's a healthy balance, but you do need to be visible. So, in order to do that, stay consistent. You need to be putting yourself out there and being part of conversations. Again, don't obsess, but be a part of the conversation as much as you can. Connect your orchid to institutional systems. Make sure that's already done. Hopefully, you're already there. That should go without saying. And make sure you're continuing to update your affiliations if you move or go somewhere else. Okay. So, this is Hannah Fry. I'm starting with her. She's really famous. If you haven't heard of her, she's a British mathematician. Like I said, she has kind of I I don't know the trajectory of her career exactly, but I guarantee that she started exactly where anybody else would by putting herself out there, by showing up to conferences, by shaking hands, by being friendly, and by creating social media platforms and talking about interesting things in like a valuable way that was succinct but interesting. Okay. I just want to draw your attention to the fact that literally when I Googled her, this is a screenshot of Google. You can see she has profiles on all of the social platforms. She's got something on X. She's got something on Facebook. She's got something on YouTube, something on Instagram. Look, there's even something of her on TikTok. It's everywhere. Okay? She's everywhere right now, to her credit. So that really helps. But help yourself out by being in as many places as you possibly can. Now, I'm not saying to overwhelm yourself with like, this is your new job and lifestyle. Like, that's a lot, but you do need to be visible. Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to use her as an example. Maybe she's a bad example because she's got 2 million followers, which is an awful lot. But I'm telling you, she started out the same place you did. I don't think someone just handed her a platform after she got a PhD, right? Yeah, so she put herself out there. So now I need you to consider how you can share strategically. And here are an abundance of ideas, and perhaps there are even more. So, conferences, show up. Show up, show up, show up. I mean, half of what, even in business, people are saying 90% of the challenge is just showing up. I mean, that's a bit minimalistic, but it's true. Show up and network, shake hands, connect with other people. Again, put yourself out there. Go to workshops, symposia, be there as much as you can. Again, don't let this be the only thing that you're doing in life because obviously you need to keep your research up. But yeah, there's a lot of value to that. Also, be online, hopefully not obsessively so, but be online. Make a website, make a place to link back to. Get on YouTube. Maybe you're making short explanations of what you're trying to say, which bluntly, it's the short form kind of content creation is really popular. Like we're talking 60 to 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes. That's what Instagram has collected thanks to the the TikTok kind of blow up of 2020. And now everybody's on TikTok. And maybe you're only choosing one platform. That's up to you. Something to consider is who you're trying to talk to. So if you know that your people are on LinkedIn, maybe LinkedIn is where you're posting actively, because that's the kind of content that you want to do, and those are the people you want to talk to. But the point is, get yourself out there. Maybe you're doing guest blogs. I mean, to the point, I know it's a little dodgy talking about Wikipedia, but it also doesn't hurt to kind of attach yourself into something if you're cited maybe on Wikipedia or you're kind of linking to somewhere you want to go. Again, it's just a platform. It's making yourself connectable, visible, right? Announce yourself on listservs. Talk with your university. Like we say this an awful lot. Talk with university. Like They've got press people for a reason. If you've published something, get that in their news. Get that out in an email. Maybe you're emailing people all the time. I don't know. Like that's great. You can just maybe do, I don't know, a monthly or a quarterly. Hey, here's what I've been up to. Do it. Live your best life. It's up to you, but these are a bunch of options that you can kind of jump onto. Okay, so again, know your audience. Who are you talking to? That is really going to affect how you're crafting and what you're communicating, right? Like if you're talking to the general populace, you're going to be using probably different language than if you're talking with, the real specifics, other academics in your field, okay? But you need to know who you're talking to rather than just being like, yeah, it's fine for everybody. I doubt it. Okay. Who are you talking to? Other academics in your field? Are you trying to expand your field slightly because you think there might be crossover potential? I don't know. Are you talking to the general public? Are you talking to funders? How are you trying to put yourself out there in terms of that? But again, funders are going to want to see, I don't know, the outcomes of what you've already been working on. Okay. Craft an elevator pitch. Like, be ready with what you do and what you want to say and what you're looking for and where you're going like immediately. And also, don't talk about it for 15 minutes. You're not going to have people's that much attention. Like 30 seconds might be brief, but I don't know. I mean, for instance, when I meet new people, I have found that I say that I'm in publishing, but I also talk about my other background. But I've kind of boiled it down rather than trying to kind of hem and haw about what I do or all of the things I do. This is what I do. This is what I'm interested. This is where I'm going. Right? Not too hard. But have that at hand. Don't ramble about it. Don't wonder. This is something you need to know, okay? And be able to kind of communicate that well. Now, again, a really text-heavy slide. Sorry about that. But these are kind of, again, a list of options, opportunities for you to boost your citations and visibility. So, of course, there's a bit of a difference between visibility and being cited in academic articles. If we're talking about citations, still you're still needing to promote what you're trying to say to the right people who could potentially connect with you. So again, be consistent in your posting, be active out there, putting yourself out there, being with interactivity. Post preprints if that is okay in your field. Remember, preprints are published on websites or on even your maybe your institution site, it really depends, before it's been peer reviewed. So if that's not cool based on what you're doing, then be careful. Maybe don't do that. But again, that's up to you if you want to just put like a taster out there. Target interdisciplinary audiences. Get your word out there. And use visible reciprocity. Like if somebody cites you, try to cite them back in your own work if you can, right? Again, this shouldn't be kind of just a circular thing, but it's about looping people into the conversation and the conversations and the rooms that you want to be in. Do you know what I mean? So consider all of these things as possibilities for you to kind of gain more citation and just visibility as well. Okay, now, these are some social media tips. I can't promise that these are all going to work, but there are 1,001 strategies out there about how to post yourself and kind of put yourself out there. The three post strategy. So maybe this is after you've published an article, announce that you've published an article, then do another piece within a reasonable time frame. I don't know. I can't tell you what that is for you. Maybe it's a day, maybe it's a few days, whatever. Maybe it's a few hours based on how much you post. I don't know. Follow it up with an insight about why it matters. Be willing to be a storyteller, right? That's what people actually really connect with. Nobody likes lists like these on a on a PowerPoint. Don't do a PowerPoint. Tell the story and then follow up and do a final piece of, hey, here's how it all comes together. Okay. And say, oh, and also another thing that I also hear about an awful lot on social media is asking for interactivity. Hey, post what you think in the comments. Maybe that's not something you want. Again, up to you, but it does kind of encourage interactivity and connection, personal connection with your work. Know your audience based on your platform. Again, I was talking about LinkedIn versus Instagram versus TikTok versus, I don't know, your university chat section. I don't know. There's a lot out there. Yeah. And then here's another post format. You could do a one paragraph summary. Maybe you're doing a before and after, like kind of flip through on Instagram with like pictures through. Maybe you're creating an infographic. Like those people tend to actually really connect with. Now, is that hard to make? Sure. It definitely is, and hopefully we've got some options to help you. But there are also a lot of tools out there that could kind of support what you're trying to create. Okay, so I'm going to use Dr. Becky as an example. So I just want to point out this is her Instagram profile. If you've never heard of her, she's got a lot of followers. So again, she's probably built this from scratch and it's probably taken her a long time. So you can see right away she's promoting something right now. Or was. It looks like she had did a book in 2022, so she was has obviously clearly posted that there, and also somehow got another book deal. I don't know when the pre-order for this book Cosmos is. I couldn't tell you. This is not an active profile, but yeah, she's got a lot of followers. But I guarantee she did not start with 123,000 followers. She started somewhere, and she actively posts, and she's also kind of out in the world, bringing her own perspective, and she's talking about astrophysics, which is cool. And then sometimes she's just, I don't know, talking about her, I don't know, her move and to a new space, but also how it inspires her in her work and what she's doing. Like, if you want to get that personal, that's great. But she's also talking about what's happening and trying to break down for the public. Again, this is kind of the brand she's created, like what's happening in the astrophysics world, if those maybe her colleagues are not actually talking about that, which is great. Now, I'm not saying you need to be her because you're not, but she's also kind of got a lot going for her. Something else that she's done, and this is again, I've taken the same page. Then I went through and I clicked on this link tree. This is a really good example of kind of showing, hey, I have all of this stuff. Watch my videos on YouTube. Check out my website. Oh, look, a podcast. I didn't even know if she's attached to it. I have no idea. FAQs. That's interesting. Look, she even has a link to what she's written. Read my science research papers. It's right there. Like, it's a free platform. Just saying. So we've got a lot of opportunity. And again, she's probably a bit more famous than you would be if you're just getting started. Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe you're really good at this. I couldn't tell you. Okay, let's briefly talk about communication habits. So you got to think about clarity and simplicity. Also think about visualization. If you're just like posting a slide, I'm not going to say that people are going to be great with that. There's a lot of this stuff out there where it's just kind of bolded words of about, I don't know, that no more than like 15 words. And that's what you want to do. Great. But also, you're not going to be able to post your paper in segments like on Instagram. No one's going to connect with you there, right? But you need to think about ways that you're communicating this well. Not going to lie, funders might even need you to boil this down because remember, you are the expert in your field, so you're probably going to be the person that can speak the most toward this. Communicate often, yeah, and make impact. Ensure discoveries are heard to create a real world difference. And say that out loud. Spell it out for people. Lots of times people are like, wait, what does this mean? Again, this is your work. Help them. Help them to help you, really. Help them understand. Break it down as much as possible. I kind of repeat this a bit, but avoid jargon, avoid complexities, be precise. Something else to consider is accessibility, which sometimes gets lost. But yeah, make sure maybe if you're making a YouTube video, make sure that it's possible to have the closed captions if somebody perhaps is deaf. I don't know if you're skilled in sign language, use it. Yeah, if you are speaking in one language, make sure that it's gonna be translated into a language of, people who are gonna connect with you even better. Yeah, a lot of options out there, but definitely something to consider. Okay, takeaways. Craft a multi-channel output. I'm just going to say, don't just live in one space because that's really not going to help you. Engage consistently, not one publication at a time, even though this session is technically focused on after publication. Stay consistent. Even while you're researching, show up, be visible, go to those conferences. I don't know, talk with your colleagues online. Yeah, don't make sure they don't forget about you, I guess, and build long-term visibility. Okay, so hopefully this is not overwhelming for you, and maybe it is. But I'm also going to say this is kind of a lot of stuff, and we're talking about, oh, create a brand, oh, create a profile, and people work for years on this. So start small, pick one, and move forward. Now, maybe you're thinking to yourself, look, my English isn't great. That's okay. First of all, there are so many tools on the internet. Thank heavens for Google Translate. It can help you out an awful lot. Maybe you have friends who can help you. Yeah, but also speaking of friends and family, ask them, get feedback. Like, hey, could you actually repeat back to me what I actually do? If your family goes, no, then you might need to try again. Yeah. Are you garnering attention? Are people actually interacting? Are there different strategies or ways you need to do it? Like, try to get feedback as you go along. Okay. So notice what is or isn't working, and then that can kind of feed you toward forward from there. Okay. It never hurts to get kind of safe feedback, if you will. I know the internet can be a crazy place. So something else that we do here at Cambridge, we want to support you as much as we can. We have a lot of personal communication, which is great. We're not going to sit here and be like, hey, here's a new social media post that we crafted for you, unless we happen to craft a social media post ourselves about your work because we're so excited about it. But I'm not going to lie, that doesn't happen that often. But we do have resources available for you on our site for how to promote yourself even better, probably even more specifics than what I've given you here today. Also, that being said, we do have author services, which I talk about fairly often. For instance, if you're struggling with language or you're struggling with kind of output communication, maybe that's just not your forte, this thing can help you. So, author services, and here's a link to it if you want to kind of grab that. QR code on your phone, if you like, that can bring you to our services. We talk about publication support. We talk about communicating your idea. We're really happy to help you make, I don't know, kind of visible, boiling down what you're trying to say into kind of a visual interactive element because maybe you're just really heavy in the word department. So I'm going to move forward from this link. We do all of these things. If you want help with some of your language, I'm happy to help with that. Same with translation. Translation, we can translate directly from your language to another. That's probably going to be a bit more expensive than if you're just kind of bringing your English to the table and kind of getting that kind of bettered. But also totally available for you if that's work that you're kind of overwhelmed by. Yeah, and research communication, we've got a lot of people to support you with amplifying your voice and getting your point and who you are out there. These are languages we translate from: Portuguese, Spanish, Korean, Japanese, and Chinese. Yeah, and I'm sure that there are probably others in addition that you're more than welcome to request a quote for, which is convenient. You can request a quote on any of this. And because you've joined us here today, you'll see that this is the discount code that I have used throughout this series. You get 10% off if you want to use our other services. It is WK25 EMEA. So yeah, feel free to use that. It's good for up to a year. So have at it. Right. So the other thing that we're doing is to continue this series. Like I said, I'm going to run it again in the spring. This is the end of this series for this term. So this does bring you to the page and kind of shows you what's coming up. I will be adding an avoiding predatory publishing session likely next spring, which you're more than welcome to join for. But yeah, we've always got new stuff going. So we're really happy to support you there. And of course, you're always welcome to reach out to us to see if we can help you in any way. Yeah. So ultimately, this is a bit of an overview of what we've done. We've talked about why promotion matters and why open access can make a difference. We've talked about impact metrics and their clarification and their limitations as well. We talked about what you can do to support yourself and put yourself out there, and then talked a bit about overcoming barriers to promotion. Yeah, and talking to people and getting help. It never hurts to ask for help. I know some of us maybe have been guided that we have to do everything by ourselves. That's not the case. In a way, sometimes I feel like asking for help can actually be a great way to put yourself out there in a really humble way as well. Yeah, so hopefully that's a valuable thing for you. I'm more than happy to take questions and answers right now. We do have a feedback form, which you're welcome to use. I'm going to put this on the next page as well. I'm going to keep this up momentarily if you want to use the feedback form. I have two questions in the question and answer. The first question is this. Why not cite our work if there is no other you can cite? It highly depends on the topic you are researching and how groundbreaking and foundational your work is. Why not cite our work if there is no other you can cite? Yeah, okay. Oh, I think you're asking about self-citation. Um, Yes, there is a time and a place for that, and I think it's fine to refer back to previous work. Yes. What I'm saying is, what some people do is they just continue to cite themselves, so it's a false implication of the fact that you are getting visibility and impact. So just because you're citing yourself, that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. But there are some people who are just trying to manipulate the numbers and the system to be like constantly citing themselves. Like not even in a circular pattern. That's just like looking in a mirror. And like if you've ever put two mirrors together, it just bounces back perpetually, and that's not real. So I think that's what I'm saying in terms of ethics. Don't only cite yourself, and don't constantly cite yourself, because that takes away your own credibility, if that makes sense. Which I hope that was helpful. Let's see. On create profiles, a slightly pedantic comment that you won't be able to create a profile yourself in Scopus. Thank you. I did not know that. It'll be created automatically once you have one document published in the database. I think it'll be the same in Dimensions. For others, like Web of Science, ORCID, you can create them before having them published. That's great. Thank you for that information. Like I said, I'm not in the science world, so that is really helpful. Thank you. That's awesome. I will try to put that in. That's also really convenient and good to know that some of this work is done by others on your behalf. I think that's really awesome. Cool. Brilliant. Thanks so much for that, Diego. That's great. Are there any other questions I can answer? Stop sharing my screen. And I can put it actually in the chat. This is also a link if I have. Paste, 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 paste. Nope, it's not going. Well, I was about to post a link for you toward the feedback form, but alas, it is not going through. Sorry about that. Yeah, any other questions that anybody might have? As a reminder, you will be getting a link to these slides as well as a link to this presentation, which we post on YouTube, and the a certificate of participation if you have come to all four of our sessions. In the meantime, brilliant. Well, seeing no further questions, unless somebody is furiously typing, I am going to say that is what I have for you today. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope this was helpful. And yeah, hope to see you either again in future sessions or to have your work come through to the desks of our editors. Best wishes to you in your publication journey and your careers. I'm sure there's so much potential and opportunity here. So best of luck to all of you. Thank you so much.